one. And we are live on the YouTubes and on the Instagrams. As you can see, we are not alone in this live space. This is very, very exciting. Hello, welcome to Have You Asked Your Dad? This is the live stream and podcast where we talk about fatherhood and ask dads questions that they don't normally get asked. But today is a little bit different. We are asking the question to moms. And the question we're asking is, what does your baby daddy do that makes it easy to celebrate him on Father's Day? What are the special things that make you go, that guy deserves a pair of slippers next week, Sunday? So that's the question we're asking. Sean, who are we asking it to?
Well, hello, Terence. It's nice to be in your company and to be joined by Sam and Charlene. I think this is really cool. It's an experiment from our sides. So can I just say a great big warm welcome to a very cold Cape Town from a very, I'm not quite sure what Joburg's like at the moment, ladies, but the Great Equalizer. Sam and Charlene joining Have You Asked Your Dad for the very first time. And I think this is going to be really cool. So Sam, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. We keep Joburg warm, guys. We keep Joburg hot. Charlene and I, single-handedly.
I like it.
It remains toasty here all year round.
I like it. And for those that haven't listened yet to The Great Equalizer, I know you're going to have a flurry of new followers on Instagram and finding the podcast. But Charlene, I know it's an unfiltered, really sort of, what's the best way? Honest, irreverent sort of look at being a parent, a modern day parent in what is sometimes considered a bit of archaic South Africa, considering our power supply. You're the way I like to phrase it, maybe you would agree, is we live in a measured chaos, or do you have more than measured? Is it a little bit extra where you're coming from?
You know what? Sometimes I call it organized chaos, but it's really we're celebrating the ups and downs of our current upside down is really how I would phrase it, and we do so or say so on our podcast as well. It's just like this weird upside down place that we find ourselves in, and that's our life, and that's what we talk about on the show.
And we're here for it.
Now on the show, you guys can get pretty intense and pretty, like Sean said, unfiltered. I've been a guest on your show, and I've had to get myself into that space. Please feel free to be yourselves on this episode. If you are watching and you're used to the sweet, soft-hearted, kind, gentle-spoken boys that are Terence and Sean, guys who would never say. Although I did realize in the last episode, I did swear in our last episode, Shauna. Did I swear in our last episode? I swore in one of the things we've done. So I know. Look at the faces. Look at Charlene's face. Terence, never. But long story short, if you are listening to this with your kids, maybe just be aware that there might be one or two little naughty words coming through at some point. I feel like a parental advisory option has to go through. So Sam and Charlene, we would love to know a little bit more about your husbands, your parenting partners. Tell us who these men are. Tell us a little bit about them. Let's start with Sam.
Do you want to go first, Sam? Yeah.
I'll go first. Oh gosh, I've had an emotional week. Terence knows this because his most recent post on Aphrodite, I was like, come on, dude, come on. I was like, wiping away my waterworks. It's been a tough time. So in preparation for this episode, I've been thinking about my husband and getting a bit choked up. Man, I don't think that in the rush of parenthood and just life and keeping your head above water, the passing ships in the night thing is real, whether you are like at war with one another or actually just not, just like going through the motions. So I want to thank you guys for the opportunity to think about my husband. We always say on the show, so now can I swear? Am I allowed to swear?
Yes. We've done. Oh, Sean comes out with a banger.
There we go.
I was gonna say bumhole, but we always say on the show we didn't marry assholes.
Okay.
we didn't marry ourselves. And it always comes with a but, but my husband does this thing that annoys me, or I didn't marry an asshole, but, the division of labor is bullshit, or but, and so there's that commonplace, like, I didn't marry an asshole. And truly, Charlene and I married golden men, golden fathers, and which is what we're here to talk about today. And Ray's just a dime in a dozen. I don't know. Do you want more information? Like, he is an amazing dad, an amazing photographer, cameraman, businessman, just an all-round like softie. And I've got a lot more to say. I've got a whole list, which I know that we're going to get. Do you want me to carry on, or can we introduce Brett?
No, we'll move to Charlene, because I can see the tears of emotion coming through. So Sam, we'll give you a chance to catch yourself. But I think if I was Ray right now, I'd want to like just clip the last 15 seconds of this conversation and have it on my phone for the next arguments, just to remind you of the wonderful things.
I'm this guy.
I am this guy.
It's me.
I'm the golden boy. Let me just play that in your own voice. Charlene, tell us about Rhett.
Yeah, so I married Rhett Dean Armstrong, my best friend. He's absolutely nuts. He's not only nuts about me, but he is also crazy in his nature. He's fun-loving, and he's always got a joke, and he's caring and giving beyond what he should be. He's just so much fun. He's the highlight of my life, of my everyday, no matter how miserable or sad or grumpy I am. And even when I'm grumpy with him, he finds a way to very annoyingly still make me laugh. And then even when I don't want to laugh, I'm like, I'm really fucking angry with you right now, so don't come with your funniness. Yeah. He makes me laugh. He's a wonderful, he offsets my neurotic seriousness very well, I think.
I'm kind of wishing we had shots close by now, so that if we did sort of slip over into that adult language, we would all be able to celebrate together, because living wild and free. Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't invited to that party. Goodness, what are you guys drinking?
Always invited, Sean. You're always invited.
Oh, man. Listen, ladies, I think it's also important for us to recognize that we're not just here to talk about all of the good things, but I'm so pleased that you both found really great men to share your lives with. And maybe at this point, we do like to ask anybody that's watching, if they want to get involved and they want to share some things with regards to why it is that they want to be celebrating, or what allows for them to feel that they want to make a big celebration about the father to their children when it comes to things like Father's Day. And often when Terrence and I speak about Father's Day, we're like, well, what does the day mean? Why are we doing it? Like, I don't know that I necessarily want anything. And I guess the commercial side of Father's Day is often a mug or slippers or socks or way back.
Soap on a rope, underpants.
The classic.
And I think there was an ad, I remember it a long time ago, radio ad for polyfiller, and being able to get, I don't know, does that strike a chord for any of you? I mean,
I'm trying to remember now. No, it seems familiar. Carry on. You're jogging my memory here.
Okay, well, we're going to take a long road then. This is a long road. But essentially it came down to the fact, like, if you're sick and tired of getting socks and what, it's DIY related type stuff. So it's nice to be able to have conversations about why we want to celebrate that person that's around. And I know, Sam, you've said we've now forced you to reflect. That list that you've got, is it like one A4 or is it both sides?
It's 3. Terrence said 3. I stuck to the brief.
Okay.
Not 3 pages, three things.
At first I said, let's do 20. Let's just do 20 things that are amazing about your partners. And then I realized, we'd be here all day. I'm not saying it wouldn't be possible for you guys to do that, but, you might need a few more days to think about it, and we need a lot more time.
We will still be here all day. I hope everybody's like really tucked in. because we got all night, son.
We have no time limit on the Zoom call, so that's fantastic. What I do find, what I was really hoping to get out of this episode, and hopefully we'll get there. Maybe you're someone who's watching right now, and just hearing how Charlene and Sam are talking about the father to their children, you might not have the same experience. In fact, it's potentially quite likely that you don't have the same experience, which is really, really sad. But I think the reality is that there are good dads out there. And we also want to make it clear that it's possible for men to be good dads. I want this to be a hopeful conversation for some people to go, oh, okay, maybe my experience isn't completely universal and doesn't have to necessarily be this way. Because if Rhett and Ray can behave in this way, can take the responsibility of fatherhood in this way, then maybe other men in my life can as well. And hopefully you do have a positive experience. And like Sean said, please put in the comments wherever you're watching. We would love to know. Should we get into this?
Yes,
yes, Charlene.
I don't want to bulldoze your point, but I do want to add though that something that's quite important for me to that end is that I always feel a little bit of guilt when I gloat essentially about how great my partner is, because I know that it is a privilege. I've chosen a good man. I found a good man. It's not just about choosing, it's about finding a good person, and choosing to raise children with that person is a privilege. But also, if that is not your position, for whatever the reason may be, if you're raising a son, if you're raising a boy who might potentially one day want to become a father, that what we teach those boys will matter one day when they're a dad.
Love that. That's such a valid point. And I'll take that into account. I do have two boys myself, so these are things I should be listening to as well. Okay, let's get into it. You guys had some homework, our first live guest ever, and we gave them like a bunch of homework to do. Let's start with Sam. Your first thing that you love about your husband, about what he does as a father.
So all of mine come with anecdotes. Is that
Perfect.
okay?
Of course.
Because I love a good anecdote, guys. So last week my kids had the stomach flu, the gastro that's going around, the like out all ends thing. So my sweet little 2-year-old Noah was man down, but like you've never seen it. Most toddlers that come home from school with the high fever, but then they're running around like crazy. You actually can't get them to rest. This kid was like 3 days solid, just lying on the couch. My heart broke for him. And then later, my 6-year-old had it. So at one point in the game, Noah, the 2-year-old, wakes up and looks at me and very confused says, I don't know where my daddy is. And he's also Elijah's daddy. That's the name of my eldest. And Ray happened to be, he hasn't been traveling for a while, but he is a cameraman. He works in TV. And he was filming. It happened to be that last week. And I was like, oh man, my heart breaks, because he just wants his dad, and he was asking for his dad, and he was looking at me like I'm a stranger, and he's just like, do you know this man? I'm looking for this guy. His name's Ray. My dad, and also Elijah's dad. And then, for anybody that's queasy, just like, bear with me here. But few days later, when Elijah kind of gets the bug, he starts vomiting, and he's not loving this vibe, and he's super worried about like his life and his future. And he looked at me like in anger, and he's like, he says, Sam, he calls me Sam. He calls us by our first names. He said, Sam, where is Ray? He should be here. He's my dad. He should be here. And my heart broke for these boys. I kind of thought, he's been away for like 2 months at a time, guys. And now he's away for like a week, and you're moaning about this. But I realized, again, Charlene talking about privilege, there was a huge part of me that for once in all of my like resentment, because in partnerships you do, like, resentment does tend to bubble up, and I didn't at this point with Ray working ever once go, where the heck is this man while I manage this all by myself? Because at every step of the game, these boys went, where's my dad? And I thought, how lucky you are to want your dad in this moment. And not once, and it's not to make it a good reflection on myself. I didn't once go, bugger you, what about me? You know, I'm here. I just, that really was a blessing for me. And that's a reason for him to be celebrated, is they were like, okay, our mom's here and she's giving all the cuddles and she knows all the things, but you know what? Someone's missing. Our dad's missing. And we phoned Ray at one point late in the night. He was busy editing. And Elijah said, Daddy, I vomited. And Ray said, well, just go into the room and go and have a nice family hug. And Elijah said, we will, but it's not a family hug. It'll just be a group hug. Oh. So there's good reason to celebrate that he was missing. And what a privilege for them to miss their dad in that moment.
Oh.
Sorry,
Don't
Shirley.
make me cry. I can't.
I'm done.
Wow. And that's just point number one.
That was
Shirley.
point number one. This is gonna be a tough episode. Okay, we could do this, but this is good. This is happy tears. This is, like you say, it's a joy to have, you know, to be the kind of dad that your children miss is big. So, whew. Okay, Sean, are you ready for the next one? Can we pass on? Can we pass on the ball to Charlene?
Yeah, let's do it. I think we revel in that moment, Sam. I love that story. I think that's such a testament to the presence that he has in their lives and the space that's been created for that. And yeah, definitely worth celebrating on Father's Day for sure.
Okay,
yeah, that was a lot. Okay, well, thanks for that, Sam. Everything I'm going to say is now going to pale in comparison. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. You know what? It was hard for me to stick to only 3 when I had to like summarize the important things. And there's so much you could say, like he's really present and he really helps, and those are all, not to discount those things, because that's, again, it's not everybody's scenario or circumstances. They don't, and not always, it's not always not the case because the dad doesn't necessarily want to. It's all about circumstances and what's happening, but what's happening in your life, where you're at. There's a lot of factors at play. Something that I really appreciate about Rhett as a dad is that he sometimes works incredibly long hours, and his job and his business is of such a nature that his mind is constantly full. And he has this motto that he lives by, that he says, you know, always be mindful even though your mind is full, which I in itself can appreciate, because that's how he manages to have attention to detail, to notice when I have an off day, to just be a good partner. But where he shows up for the kids is he will arrive home at, it doesn't matter what hour or what kind of a day he had or how taxing the financial burdens or the staff were, whatever challenges he faced, he will always make time. If Joshua says, Dad, I want to show you this thing in the garden, or Dad, I saw this bird, or whatever they ask for him to engage with them in, or whatever, Dad, come hit the ball with me, or Daddy, I want to show you this doll. He will, no matter how tired he is, and I can see sometimes how he's scraping together the will to live, but he goes and he makes the time to go and make that connection with them and just be in that moment with them. And I think it's admirable, because I can't do it. I can't do it. I often think about how I will just be like, guys, not right now. Wait, mommy's busy. Or, you know, he doesn't do that. He will just go and spend the time with them. He always makes time for them. And I appreciate that about him a lot. He's a great example for me.
just hold on there for just 1 second. I think we've lost the stream. On my side, it's dropped. And I'm like, that was such a valid, good point we were making. So just give me 1 second. I want to see why this has happened.
No stress.
Really?
As I was bragging about the technology working so wonderfully. Of course. And yeah, Julie's like, yeah, the live has just ended. Let me see.
I'm here. I'm just closing this door to the studio. I'm gonna have to plug myself out.
Okay, sure. Of course, now my cat is assigned to scratch at the window as well.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go back. Okay, we are back. Very sorry about that. Technology hates us because I of course brag at the beginning of this podcast before we went live. I'm like, hey, I've got the technology working perfectly. How great am I? Everyone revel in my awesomeness, and of course that's my hubris causing everything to fail. Charlene, I actually don't know where we left you.
I no, because my husband cued me while he told me
yes.
where he
that's point number 4. Whatever your third point is, that's gonna be point number 4. Rhett, you are a rock star. Okay, so
can we just go back to the fact that you said his mind full, regardless of whether his mind is full, and boom, talk about delivery.
Yes.
That
yes.
100%.
Listen, he's been known to deliver a line, this man, let me just say. he's got a way with words. So he always says, and he lives by it, always be mindful even though your mind is full. And so he has a high pressure job, and it causes his mind to be very full all the time because it's got very many moving parts, but that he doesn't allow that to filter into when he arrives home, no matter what time it is. If the kids need to show him something, they've waited the whole day, they're so excited, Daddy, come see this, Daddy, do this with me, whatever. He will make the time, no matter how tired he is, how spent he is, how emotionally drained he is. He makes the time to be with them, even just briefly in that moment, to connect with them. And then he'll say, okay, Daddy has to go finish this off, I'll come back just now, or whatever. But he makes time for them. And I can appreciate that about him. He inspires me, actually, because I can't do that. I can, I suppose, but I'm not very good at doing it.
Because it is very easy to, like you say, to not do that, to just walk by and just say, look, Dad's had a
I'll
hard
be there
day.
just now.
I'll
or
be there
yes,
just
yeah.
now. Or like, Dad just needs to sit down for a second. And it would be justified in saying that because life is hard. And it's good for your kids to know that you also need a rest sometimes. But to be able to really like show them that they are a priority when he's in the house is big and takes effort. So, Rhett, A, thank you for that. And B, thank you for keeping us on track. So, are we ready? Are we emotionally ready for another Sam anecdote?
I am. I hope it's just as good, Sam. You've got the standard now. You need to deliver.
Oh, guys, I've got another anecdote. I do. But I think this one's nice. I think it's heartfelt, you know. Ray and I have been together for a while, which kind of bleeds into my third point. So I won't tell you for how long until we get there.
Okay.
Withhold that information. But there was one, we were quite young. I was like 19 maybe. And for Valentine's Day, I'm not sure whether I dropped hints or whatever, but I'm like, if you know me, you know that I'm a woman who's actually very happy with flowers, like, or one flower or a card, you know, and not grand gestures or whatever, really just like cute, sentimental, you know, it doesn't need to cost a lot. But God bless this man. He at one point, I was sharing all of my assignments or saving all of my assignments to my iPod Shuffle. Do you guys remember what they looked like?
Yes.
They were like small square devices. That was very cool. I used my iPod Shuffle at the gym, but also to save all of my assignments.
You could clip it like up here when you're going for your run.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. That's awesome.
And I used it as an external hard drive.
Hard drive, essentially. Yeah. Look at you.
Like a flash drive, right? Before I even knew flash drives existed. So come Valentine's Day, this man who refuses to get me flowers unless I prompt him. So every now and then I will send him a message and say, Ray, sister could do us some flowers today, thanks. and he always obliges. But so on this day, so we're teens basically moving into young adulthood, and it's Valentine's Day, and he comes with an incredible connection packet. And he's just like, I really thought you needed one of these. And it was a green flash drive, still in the box, not wrapped, just in the incredible connection packet. And that was my Valentine's Day gift. And I was like, it took me a good long while, right, to get over that, you know, the lack of romance in pictures. But this man, who I now celebrate as my baby daddy, years later, never fails to deliver in terms of those kinds of gifts. And that I've realized, and it took me a while to realize, that technology is his love language. He, in fact, I'm in our home office, which is like a little room off to the side of our house. And when I walked in, he'd set up my laptop, he'd opened Zoom. I'm actually sitting in a load shed house. We've got a UPS running. He put his one camera light there. I've got another one there so that my lighting is all set up, and the heater was on. And that, I mean, if you walk into the house, and he'll do this to anybody, even probably to you guys. If you walk into the house, he'll take a glance at your phone and pick up your phone and put it in a charger and make sure that everybody's fully charged, especially before they go home. So I've no doubt that he'll do the same for my boys. My boys don't know what it's like to live in a house without being hooked up to the world. That's Charlene knows this. This is Ray's love language. This is his passion in life, and I applaud the man for it. And it really, it took me a while to realize that that's really how he's showing me he cares for me, you know. But now it hits harder for some reason. Like, especially I use my laptop, for instance, the one I'm on now. daily in my work, and it recently, not to brag, but it recently got upgraded without me asking or prompting or realizing that it had a problem. But he was just like, your battery was bothering me on the old one, so he essentially traded it in, and I got a refurbished device so that he knows I won't have any downtime for my work. And
I noticed, by the way,
you
got a new one.
Yes. And you know what? This woman, like, I've complained to her and I've said, I just really wanted candy and flowers, at one point. But he, instead of that, he came with also something I'm currently using now, which is one of those laptop stands that kind of ensured, like, I'm not resting my laptop on a pile of books. I've got a proper stand with a mouse. And this is his variation of flowers and chocolates. And Charlene was the one who was like, you're crazy, bro. Like, you need to appreciate that shit. So I do, and I brought it up. My notes just say techie, but yeah, I mean, I know that doesn't relate specifically to fatherhood, but it's about the man, right? It's about the man that is my baby daddy. So,
and looking after the mama is a good way to look after the kids. So I think that's wise, and giving you maybe not necessarily what you want, but what you need.
Yeah, like, I'm a spoiled brat, man. I had to realize that. It's really been a hard day of reckoning. Also, I was actually bitching to Charlene today that he replaced my brakes at a really inopportune time. He replaced my brakes. I didn't ask for this, but he looks after us in that way. And he looks after everybody who walks through our door by making sure that they're fully charged. He looks at my girlfriends. I've got 2 single girlfriends who are very close to my heart, and he does a round outside and checks their tires to make sure that they've got enough tread. And if they don't, he'll very politely bring it up in conversation and say, please have your tires checked. He's a good man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to hit the button if I may.
Go for it.
Oh, yes.
All right, I got the button. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's such
I have a button and I'm going to use it.
Yeah.
And I have the power for a split second there. It's a split second. I love that story. Sam, you tell such great stories. And I think exactly to your point, it speaks to who the man is and his ability to take care of everybody and see that as his I don't mean to say it's his job. It sounds like it's a passion thing. It's something that he just oozes out. And back to what Charlene was saying a little earlier as well, the rest of your family is going to learn from that and carry that into the world as well. So that is a great lesson that he's teaching. And again, a reason to celebrate him on Father's Day. So that's cool. Thanks for sharing that. That's rad.
Can I pat myself on the back for just half a second? Because a certain Julie Mentor is in the chat. She seems.
Hi, Julie.
I just saw her profile pic. She looks super, super hot. And she's gonna kill me because I said that. She says tech love language sounds familiar, and that's part of the reason why I was nodding so broadly, because I have the same thing. I've had to fight the urge to like buy Julie a better office chair. So it's like she's complained about her office chair, and then I'm like, I'll get you one, even though that's not the kind of sweet gift that she wants. But Julie, you see, Sam understands. Sam gets it.
It took a while. It took a while.
Okay, she's working on it. She's working on it.
I wanted to talk on my next point. It ties in nicely with what Sam was saying about Ray being caring and checking, always being on the lookout for your girlfriends and friends, and I know him to be like that, because he does that with us when we visit as well. He's always ready with advice and whatever. But what I find similar in Rhett is that being the carer. And I mean, a husband provides, a father provides, roles. We can talk about how roles are split in the family and how parents are equal these days, and you provide for your family one way or another. I have a deep level of respect for my husband when it comes to just always preempting what everyone else might potentially need so that he can get on that. If he can do whatever he can do to make my life easier, if it is so much as putting the toothpaste on my toothbrush for me when he has a moment and he thinks about it, just because he knows I'm having a particularly rushed day, he will do that because he thinks of the little things. And it's not just with me, it's for our kids as well, in the way that he bought a new bike for Josh, and the way he sets up the bike, he'd rather take it to a place to have it set up and make sure that it gets done 100%, because he knows Josh is going to be impatient to want to ride it, and if he doesn't have the right tools at home, it can't happen immediately. He's a bit of an overthinker. He's not a bit of an overthinker, he's a perpetual overthinker. And it can be to his own detriment, because he's often a lot in his own head. But what I want him to know, and what I want, if you're a guy like that, or if you have a guy like that in your life, or a person like that in your life, I appreciate it, and it's worth appreciating, because again, with his mind always being so full, the time it must take. We always talk about the mother load and how things weigh so heavy, because you have to think about whether the wet wipes need to be put into the wet wipe dispenser, and whether there's another one in the cupboard, and do we need cheese? Do I need to write it on the list? So you get that mental load of things that you need to remember. And he's got a different version of that mental load, but he finds a way to always care for others. Like he'll phone my mom and be like, listen, I noticed the tires on the car were run down a little bit, and I've phoned and I've gotten a quote for you. This place has them. They're the cheapest. If you want, I can send someone next week to pick up the car and have the tires done. And he does stuff like that for people in my life, because it's his way of caring for me, because those people matter to him as well, but he knows that they matter to me. And in doing so, I find that my children grow up with an example of how a family, a mother, a person should be cared for, you know. And I'm not saying everybody, because it's not within everybody to care in such a way. But I think it's a wonderful privilege to have someone in my life like that is able to show our children how their mother should be cared for, you know. And I mean, I've got a boy and a girl. My boy sees a great example of a strong, hardworking man who can be sensitive, who doesn't have any issues with shedding a tear when his heart hurts because his wife had a hard day, you know, or showing her affection and love and using his words to communicate his emotions. And by the same token, my daughter sees what she deserves, or what any person deserves ultimately. So he's a great carer, and he's a wonderful example for our children in that respect.
Wow.
Rad.
Wow, rad. Yeah.
Can I press the button first before you start? Can I press the button?
Yes. Good job.
Nice.
Much deserved, Rhett. I could kind of relate to the person who's in charge of the tech. And the more I was thinking about it now, I actually just realized I don't really do it for anyone else. But I like tech, so that's why I just make sure the tech in my house is as good as it could be, kind of for my own benefit. So I can't take any of Ray's shine. And I definitely can't relate to the kind of mindfulness that Rhett clearly has to...
Yeah, I don't know how he does it.
To to preempt what you need, and to make sure that he's, you know, filling in those gaps. That's incredible. We kind of all need a version of Rhett in our lives.
I have a funny anecdote, Terence, just to that point. I think we were in a couples therapy session or something, and we were having a discussion about like Rhett. as much as he does for people, he is not great at asking for things or even accepting things. When you, like Sam has the same not problem, but challenge in her life. She doesn't ask for help very easily. And she, and when she does get help, it's weird for her. She's not really sure what to do with it. Like she feels weird, like a cat on a hot tin roof kind of vibes. So Rhett's the same. And he, I never realized this, but he would be happy with so little. And my mind's always full. I'm always like a bull in a china shop, like steamrollering through life, like just in my head and doing shit and getting things ticked off my list. And we were having a discussion about how we could show up for each other or what he would appreciate. It was a very difficult discussion for him to have, because now he has to admit that firstly, he needs to be cared for. And he's asking me for something. But he basically, what it boiled down to was, for him, if I met him just when he arrives at home, if I just came out to meet him or met him at the door, and he understands that it's not always possible because I might have a screaming child or whatever. He's not asking me to do that always. But sometimes if I'm just sitting here with my round bottom on the couch and I'm actually just binge watching a program and he arrives at home, to get up and meet him, to him, that would make him feel cared for. And I felt in the moment that is a valid point, because it's a very simple thing that I could very easily do. But overwhelmingly, I felt like I duly did say this to him. I felt like I wanted to say it, and I did say it to him, was like, but that's the kind of thing you do. It's not the kind of thing that others do or that I do, not to be mean, but we were having a frank discussion, and it really dawned on me that we sometimes expect others to do the things that we would want done, but it's not necessarily how they're wired and how they are put together, which is also why I have a huge appreciation for him, because he's able to look at it from the other point of view, to be like, what would she need? What would really make her life easier or his life easier,
That's a skill. It's a big skill. And I'm thrilled to hear you guys both talking about love languages and how that makes a difference going forward. When you understand what that love language is, it does start to erase some of those frictions that you may experience through the relationship. So, yeah.
I mean, we could just hear from the man himself in our comments, Rhett Armstrong, saying, Ray and I got the worn tires covered. There's definitely a theme. But you know what? It's one of those things that people like me don't think about until the tire explodes. So we need the Rhetts and Ray to be the people who happen to walk past our car and like both of you said, very gently go, either take it to this place or you might want to get it checked out. So Rhett, if you are in Cape Town, just take a look at my car while you're here, please. That would be great.
Yeah. Listen, don't ask him to look at anything technology-wise, because you are shit out of luck.
That's not on your list. That's not one of the things.
He has many wonderful qualities. That's not one of them.
Ray's got you covered. Don't worry. Between Rhett and Ray.
Yeah. Between the two of them, you've got a wide swath of like any sort of partnership you would need. Okay, are we ready for number 3? Sean, you're taking some deep breaths there with your massive scarf.
Yeah, it's also here to dry away the tears should they come, so I'm prepped.
They're coming.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, this is not a real men don't cry kind of podcast. This is just the exact opposite kind of vibe. Okay, Sam, anecdote number 3.
Anecdote number 3. So I often, speaking about men who cry, Ray cries, but he's very reserved. He's a very stoic, pragmatic Virgo in my life. He gets stuff done. He's got a very no-nonsense approach to life. But what I can really appreciate about him is his softer side. And And, you know, I wanted to take credit for this, but I don't think I can. Not his softer side, but my son's. So I was picking Elijah, my eldest, up from school yesterday, and he now goes to an all-boys school, which I was a little bit worried about because Elijah is not typically your rough and tumble boy. You know, I don't want to put him in a box, but I don't know. You know, Charlene, how would you describe him? He's also got a softer side, right?
Yeah, he's
more,
like
more
a
the gentle kind of
yes,
kid.
like he's not going to be like, yeah, let's play rugby. Like if the boys are playing rugby, he'll be like, okay, yeah, I want to not miss out, but I kind of don't really want to do this.
He and Ray are hilariously similar, where they'll suss out a situation first and stand on the sidelines until they're confident that they'll be good at taking part in whatever that activity is. So that's kind of beside the point, but that's more or less what Elijah's like. And I picked him up from school yesterday and I was like, come boy, let's go. And he went to 2 or 3 of his friends and held them by the shoulder and looked them in the eye and said, goodbye. And whoever was open to a hug then proceeded to hug his friends. And it melted my heart because it wasn't like a, yo, bro, see you later, or just like, you know, going away. It was, he really like was very caring. And I thought, you know, initially patted myself on the back and I was just like, this has nothing to do with me. This is his dad. That is all his dad. This, you know, and I remember, so this is where I'm bringing in how long Ray and I have known each other for. I met him when I was 14 at a church camp, and we got together when I was 15. So you can do the math, but officially as of the 31st of May, we've been together for 20 years. So 2 decades with this person who I've grown with. And I remember, I think the one thing that really attracted me to him when we first met was how when he smiled, it was sincere. And today, Charlene and I were actually talking about sincerity and how I pick up on people's bullshit quite easily. And that's like, I always want to figure out, like, why didn't I like this person at our first meeting? And it was because I didn't feel that they were sincere. And from the get-go, Ray had that sincerity. And it's been 20 years of growth. It's been 20 years of just having a best friend who has never doubted me, who has never made me feel, you know, you just get some people who you don't like your behavior around them. I mean, I married a person who just brought out the best in me. And together, we haven't given up. There's never been a point where we're just like, this is hard, this sucks. It's always been even when it's hard and it sucks, we couldn't imagine doing it without one another. And it's just that his groundedness was reflected to me in my child. And I just thought, you know, I've won at parenting simply by marrying this man. That's all I really had to do. You know, I overthink parenting daily. We've created a podcast about it. And yet, if my kids, I've got 2 boys, if they could just be their dad one day, or even a fraction of him, then my job's done. And yesterday I saw it and I was like, so that's what made me emotional and is making me choke up now. But he's worth celebrating, man, every day, not just on Father's Day.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo. Pressing the button if you don't mind. Bring in the applause. Yes, love that. Oh, that's such a great story again, Sam. And like you quite rightly say, to be able to see the impact being reflected through your children to the rest of the world. There's just so much hope for what we're sending out into the world again. And yeah, well done on that parenting decision of marrying him. So you did good. You did good. You did good.
And what like a testimony to him to like have someone say that about anyone, like that if you could be like this person, you're going to be good. And and as a father to hear that's incredible. That's an incredible testimony to him. So when he hears this, and I hope you're going to force him to listen to this.
I will. He's quite shy, and he's very likely gaming and doesn't like to be spoken about. But I will pass the recording under his door.
He'll just have to, like, in his sleep, put the headphones over him and let him hear it, because
you have to listen to this. Happy Father's Day.
Every Father's Day for the rest of your life, at least once a year. You have because this is the kind of stuff that, you know, men don't always hear. Fathers don't always hear those words being spoken to them. And man, what like a shot in the arm it must be to go, okay, I've been seen. Even though I might be shy Ray, it's still secretly gonna give him a booster. Okay, it's time for our sixth one. Charlene, you're gonna end off the show for us. Okay.
I'm gonna finish it on a light-hearted note.
Yes.
I have to commend my partner, my baby's daddy. I've mentioned that he's funny and he's got a great sense of humor and he always knows how to crack a joke and whatever. My kids grow up in a household where there's lots of laughter, because he does not take himself too seriously. He is an absolute clown. He annoys the shit out of them because he has fun doing it, and he can see that he's riling them up, but he does it. He still does it. He does it to me. He does it to the pets. He's just like that annoying little brother and when he knows he's annoying you, he carries on doing it. But it makes for a lot of laughter in the household. And what I have to absolutely commend him on, and I wish I had this, is his absolute confidence, his unwavering confidence in his ability as a dad and as a parent, because he could be fucking shit up on a colossal scale. But firstly, he would be none the wiser because he's faking it brilliantly. Secondly, he thinks he's doing a great job. I'm a fantastic father. Look at me. I'm a fine specimen. So he certainly is teaching our children how to be confident in and have conviction in what you're doing. I appreciate that about him, and I think it deserves to be celebrated.
I love that. Sean, hit that button. Yes.
Awesome.
I mean, I did notice you used the word confident and not overconfident, and there's that line. There's that line, and hopefully, it sounds like Rhett is walking that fine line very well.
You know what, Terence? Funny, I've always been, in my younger years, I used to be attracted to, the very cocky boys, the guys who thought that they were the guys you should steer 100% clear of, were the ones that I had my eyes set on. And so when I met Rhett, he was exactly that confident. And so I think maybe that's why I don't refer to it as overconfident, because to me, that's just confidence. And never having any doubt in yourself. I think also because as a mom, you have mom guilt and you constantly doubt yourself. But I don't know. I don't know if it's just the dad in our household. He just does not doubt himself. He's just like, I fucking got this.
Oh.
Can I just say that this conversation has inspired me to be better, more present, and to give more of myself, not only to my daughter and my wife, but then to be able to show that to others as well, and not just to kind of close it off. I do consider myself to be on the more gentle side, and I'm not going to shout and scream and boast and share viewpoints and opinions left, right, and center, and do stuff like that. So for the most part, I am far more on the wallflower side of things and just watching as things observe. But you've kind of given me the confidence to step out and actually, follow through of those convictions, however soft-spoken about them I might be, but to be in them. Does that make sense? To really own them fully. So thank you so much for sharing about those things about your hubbies. That's really cool.
Yeah,
it was nice. It was nice. I really don't think. Sorry, Terence. I really must thank you guys again. We don't get a chance to think about these things. We think about hard-hitting issues that impact women and mothers.
And the timing is also, it's uncanny, the timing. Okay, it's Father's Day coming up and whatever, but Sam and I have both come off the back of quite a difficult couple of days, weeks, and when the times things get challenging in the home, you guys know, you and your partner you can often be like passing ships. For example, last night we had a sick kid in my bed, and Red and I didn't even sleep in the same bed, just because if we want to both get sleep, then we need to make our sleeping arrangements be like that, and then you wake up to a busy day the next day, and you're just like, he's rushing here, I'm rushing there, and we're just like, we see each other, but I pick up, he leaves, he arrives, you kind of like doing but there's aflos in Engels, past the, when you run the race and you hand it,
passing the baton,
relay,
yes, it's relay, donkey. You're like, it's like you're running relay, you're running a race and it's a relay, and we don't take time. Like I don't ever sit him down. I do, but not near enough, and say to him, you know what, I appreciate this about you, and this makes me smile, and you're a great dad,
Wow. Yeah, that's, if you're watching and if you're listening to this later on, if you do have a dad in your life, I think those are worthwhile things to say to them. And this time of the year is there's, if you feel uncomfortable about it, maybe it's something you've never done before, this is a easy opportunity. You can just say, hey, because it's Father's Day, I wanted to let you know. And beyond just saying you're a good dad, I think what was great about this was that we really dug down into what makes them a good dad. Not just the generic thing, but we're all good dads in our own way. Sean and I, for instance, we're both dads. We have different situations, and the things that make us good dads just situationally are different and more complex. Where, like Sean said, he's the gentle wallflower. I'm the very loud, cocky, cheeky version. So to be specific with the father that you're talking to is like a real gift, and you guys have given us that today, which is really great. And I hope, like we said, Ray might fight to listen to this, but I hope he does. I know Rhett was joining us on the live stream, so I hope when they hear these things, they can go, okay, I feel seen and appreciated, and the hard work and effort and mental energy and emotional labor I put into being a dad is being recognized, at least for this period. So thank you is, I think, the best thing to say.
Thank you to you guys. I'll be tucking the transcript of the podcast in his slippers this year.
Very clever. Very clever. I was sent a video just yesterday, I think it was, by my wife of Brené Brown speaking. And I know we all know who Brené Brown is, and vulnerability and all of that sort of thing. And she was in an interview and she spoke about how a partnership, you may have heard her say this before, but how often we refer to a partnership being 50-50. And in actual fact, it's far more about achieving that 100%. If you're coming in going, I've only got 20, the other person picking up the 80 to get to that 100. And it sounds like that's exactly the relationships that you guys have. You're able to rely on one another, and most certainly reason to celebrate Father's Day. I mean, every day. But yeah, very nice way of highlighting the guys in your lives. And I think from listening to you, many others will also then reflect on what it is that's happening in their circumstances, and what do they need to do to get there, to fix it, to celebrate it. So yeah, food for thought. Thanks, ladies. The Great Equalizer. I see why you came up with that name now.
And this is the thing. You don't have to stop listening to Sam and Charlene once you're done with this episode, because they have a fantastic portfolio, a bouquet of episodes for you to be listening to, ranging from from book reviews to life as a mom to just surviving as a parent when like the real tough stuff happens. They've been doing it for a few years, so there's a lot for you to catch up on. If you're only just getting into TGE, as the fans like myself call it, then you got a lot to catch up on, and it's worthwhile listening to. It is always a great listen because they've been well behaved in this episode because this was our podcast, but in their own space, they are completely
filthy
honest.
Mouths.
Well, no, I wasn't gonna say filthy mouths, but they are brutally honest sometimes, and unhinged, and if you are especially a mom, trust me, you will be seen and heard by these two women in their podcast. There's the main subject of the podcast. The main tagline is no judgies. So you can come there in whatever state you are in, and you will not find someone judging you about what you are currently going through or what you're currently doing, which is brilliant. We need more of this. Please go and listen to The Great Equalizer. The links are going to be in the show notes wherever you get this podcast.
Show notes, go.
Thanks, Terence. That was so kind of you to say. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm going to call that a day. Shauna, is there anything else you want to say? Shauna has a great podcast too, another one.
But, don't talk about that now.
Don't talk about that.
Don't deflect. No, come on.
Don't ruin it. Don't ruin the vibe. Okay, we're going to say goodbye then. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye,
guys. Thank you.
That was so much fun.